Before we get into the latest on the Dallas Cowboys and Dan Quinn, I want to thank all of you who have subscribed to us here at the Cowboys Report. And with the offseason fully here, it is time for the march to 200,000 subscribers to truly begin. We did around 23K this season. I think we can do just as much, if not more, during the offseason. Let's get there before the NFL draft. You get free Cowboys videos every single day when you are subscribed, multiple times per day, frankly. So do not miss out. Hit that sub button right now. Let's go to the latest on Dan Quinn, as the Seahawks have officially hired Mike Macdonald as their new head coach, taking out one of the top landing spots for Dan Quinn entering this coaching carousel and leaving just one spot remaining. That is the Washington Commanders' job. If Dan Quinn is not hired by the Commanders, he is expected back as the Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator. Now, at this point, there's not massive rush for Washington in the sense that no one else is going to hire a head coach, but also, hey, you kind of need to make a decision in the near future so that you are able to build out the rest of your coaching staff, because those spots will begin to go as well. The remaining interviewed candidates here for the Commanders: Dan Quinn, Aaron Glenn, who is the Lions defensive coordinator, Anthony Weaver, who is a Ravens assistant head coach and could be a DC candidate for the Baltimore or other spots, and Eric Bieniemy also got interviewed, although I do think it is worth mentioning that Bieniemy didn't get a second interview. I heard some buzz. He interviewed well, but then why no second interview? I would guess it's Quinn, Glenn, or Weaver, which won't excite the Commanders' fan base. And you can make a real argument, maybe Quinn is the best of those three options. He is a clear candidate for this job. Ben Johnson was supposed to be the guy. At least that's what we all thought in the media. Then that did not materialize at all. I'd be surprised, but I guess you can't technically rule it out about the Commanders going back down that route. Seems unlikely. Dan Quinn, if he is offered the head coaching job, will take it with the Commanders. He is going to say, yes, I am in. I will be your head coach. Now, Commanders fans don't seem to really want Dan Quinn, and I get that because, it was a very public disaster in the playoffs, and even, or very, publicized disaster, I should say, in the playoffs. And down the stretch this year, things weren't that great either. He's never been that great of a head coach without Kyle Shanahan as offensive coordinator either, which all those things raise red flags. Now, if Quinn does leave, keep your eyes on Joe Witt as the internal replacement. The Cowboys, by rule, have to do some outside interviews, at least one of them, but I think Witt is the obvious internal option for Dallas. So will Dan Quinn get the Commanders' head coaching job? It's the pinned comment on today's video, so if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there. Y for yes, N for no. Time is a flat circle, and the OBJ to the Cowboys rumors are once again back. PFF listed the Cowboys as a top fit for Beckham in free agency, saying Beckham was a top 100 free agent this season. Also put the Jets on that list. Now, the Cowboys had interest over a year ago. You guys all remember, right? Thanksgiving, he's going to come in for a visit. He takes the visit. He goes to the Bills and Giants, and then it's leaked, hey, Beckham's not ready. And people accuse the Cowboys of doing Odell Beckham dirty, which they didn't, because it would have come out that he wasn't good to play at some point. It's just the Cowboys reporters got the information first. He said he didn't want to play until the postseason or Super Bowl, which was like, what are we doing? What's the purpose of that? Cowboys said we'll sign Tim Hilton instead. Worked out better short term. Then free agency comes around, and the Ravens gave him $15 million, and that was an overpay. You can argue with me, but he didn't produce very much, which we'll get into here. Here's what PFF argued. Beckham's market surely won't produce another fully guaranteed $15 million deal like it did last offseason with Baltimore, which used him sparingly in the playoffs despite that investment. He is now firmly in the ring-chasing mercenary stage of his career. The Cowboys still need more receiver talent for quarterback Dak Prescott, with veteran field stretcher Brandon Cooks profiling as a solid third receiver, and Michael Gallup not looking like the same player he was pre-ACL injury. The last part is true. I have issues, though, with the Odell Beckham idea, which we will get into here. But first, today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. You can do NFL for the Super Bowl. You can do NBA, college basketball, esports. There's a lot more than just football Prize Picks available. You can mix and match the sports as well. 2 to 6 player stat projections, more than or less than on those stat projections. If they hit, or all but one hit, if you do the flex play like I love to do, you'll come out on top. You don't have to beat thousands of people to win, your money back or whatever. It's much easier and much more fun as a result. Here's one of my Super Bowl Prize Pick slates. I've got Christian McCaffrey more than carries, 18.5. Travis Kelce more than 70.5 receiving yards. And Rashee Rice less than 6.5 catches. Again, the link is in the comment section and the description of today's show. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Links in the comment section and the description of today's show. My issue here with Odell Beckham. We've got 2 14-game sample size seasons here for him. 35 catches, 565 yards, 16.1 yards per clip. That's a pretty good average. Some big plays occasionally in there. 3 TDs. Missed all of 2022. 2021 was a down year. 2020 was a down year. 2019 was fine. He had 1,000. It was a good year. It was a very good year. But it was not prime Odell Beckham. And to put it in perspective, Beckham goes 35 for 565 and 3 scores. Michael Gallup went 34 for 418 and 2 scores. Is that really that much better than Michael Gallup? Like, are you really getting better by plugging Odell Beckham into your lineup over Gallup? Prime OBJ, absolutely. But even if you do cut Gallup, which I am on board with, I don't know if the current version of OBJ gives you enough of a real upgrade to go, yes, now we're good at wide receiver. Kind of feel like we're still going to be like, we got to rotate Beckham and Tolbert in there. But if you're going to go upgrade, wouldn't you want to really upgrade? Not just kind of, do it. And I know this part too. He'd be, target 4 behind Lamb, Cooks, and Fergie. Gallup's never going to complain. Odell Beckham might complain a little bit. That should be something that we consider. The other free agent wide receivers, by the way, ignoring the T. Higgins, Pittmans who aren't going to be on the market, not a great group. Maybe Calvin Ridley and Marquise Brown end up getting out there for you, but that seems a little bit unlikely. Gabe Davis is super streaky. Curtis Samuel's somewhat intriguing, but also been inconsistent. Tyler Boyd's an aging slot. Josh Reynolds is going to go down as the guy who dropped 2 passes he should have caught in the NFC Championship game. KJ Osborne can be a receiver 3 for you. Maybe Darnell Mooney offers some intrigue as a vertical threat. And DJ Shark was bad in Carolina, by the way. Or maybe you just bring back Cedric Wilson. And that way you could totally roll into the year with Lamb and Cooks and Wilson and Tolbert. And if you find someone in the draft that you love at some point on day 1 or day 2 or whatever, you could still take them. So do you want Odell Beckham on the Cowboys? That's right. The weigh-in is back. OBJ for yes or no BJ for no. Sound off in the comments. We wrap up today's show with the latest Jerry Jones comments. Yahoo Sports, where I've been talking to him like, hey, talking about Bill, coach. He's like, I didn't interview anybody. Was declining questions. Then was asked, okay, what is it in general you respect about Bill Belichick? He responded with this: I know him personally, and I like him. There's no doubt in my mind we could work together. None. What do you respect about him, Jerry? He could work alongside me. So we'll ask you guys first, then we'll go more in because Jerry's not done talking yet. Do you want Bill Belichick as the Cowboys head coach in 2025? H for you'd hire him. P for you pass. You want to go younger, more successful recently? Sound off in the comments. Jerry continued that, quote, we all know that he's certainly excellent, maybe at the top of his profession. So that any one person automatically assures you a Super Bowl is ridiculous. That's too high an expectation for him. But is he maybe the greatest pro football coach of all time? Could very well be. He is a friend, and I like him, and I want to make real clear. I wouldn't have any problem working with him. Jerry, please stop talking. Please. This is Jerry's ego coming through again. Or if we want to include the Jones boys in there, that's fine, but this is more of a Jerry thing than anything. This does not do anyone any good. Responding about how, I could totally work with Bill Belichick after it certainly seems like he didn't get the Falcons job because he wanted too much power isn't a good thing. You have a head coach. This is what the dysfunction is around this organization. You're making national headlines by talking about a unemployed coach option when you chose to keep your own guy. You couldn't have just said the last part of how he's one of the greatest coaches of all time. That's it. No, you had to make it about how, I could totally work with Bill Belichick. The power dynamic would not be an issue between us because Jerry heard those comments. You couldn't just leave well enough alone. And that's the core issue with this entire organization. In the end, as long as the national media is talking about them, they think they're winning, even if the final score is a blowout loss in the NFC wildcard round.